first-time storyteller, which I think is going to be a great treat. He's been to the event before. He is a CEO coach, and instead he's weathered many storms in the boardroom. But tonight's story is not about the boardroom; it's about a different room. So please give a very, very warm welcome to Dale Williams.
So I wonder if you can imagine a photograph of somebody really special to you from a distant time ago. And you could look at that photograph and you could think about that time with that person. Or maybe it was an experience that you're reminded of in the photograph. And there's a sense of joy with the photograph, but there's also perhaps a sense of loss that perhaps you can never have that moment back again with that person for some reason. And my picture I'm going to tell you about is about a time, quite a long time ago, nearly 25 years ago actually. And it was just before my oldest daughter was born, Amy, who happens to be here. And I had, just to give you a sense of where we were, this was 2000, 2001, so it was kind of a wasteland for parenting. All right, there was Dr. Spock, which our parents had sort of used, but that had been discredited. We didn't want to do what our parents did. Meg 4 and Baby Sense hadn't arrived. There were no apps. There was no Google even. You couldn't even WhatsApp a friend. We were pre-internet almost. So this was a complete wasteland, and we were fumbling our way through it. But I was determined I was going to be more than just the major contributor 9 months before, and that being the peak of my fatherhood contribution. I wanted to be the person who was involved all the way. So I did all the antenatal classes, and we would go off to the gynecologist, Dr. Poozy. Can you believe that? Dr. Poozy. Well, exactly. So first of all, it felt a little bit out there to be the man going with my wife to the gynecologist. And then on the door it said Dr. Poozy, gynecologist, and his partner, Dr. Cookhart. So we went through all the antenatal classes, and I was there at the birth. I had my camera. It was an early digital camera. I was taking photographs. I was involved in everything. We went home. It was the first night breastfeeding, and I was there with a cup of rooibos tea. Here you go, darling, and breastfeed. For about an hour, he said, look, just go to bed. Like, 2 of us don't need to be out. There's only 1 of us can do this. You go to sleep. And I was sort of dejectedly wandered off, and I realized I couldn't do much. We went for the checkup then with Dr. Poozy. And a couple of weeks after Amy was born, and checkup's all fine. We finish it, and he says, any other questions? We said, no questions. He says, are you having sex? We both look. We're not quite sure what to answer. He says, no, it's very important. You must have sex. He points at me. He's going to be out trawling the pubs. You're going to be at home. You've got to have sex. And the way to do it is from behind with the baby on the breast. I promise you he said this. I still check my facts when Eitan said, it's got to be a true story. So Dee sort of looked as if, are you mad? I had a baby a few weeks ago. I did feel slightly hopeful, but but we went home and we thought, okay, we're going to carry on and we do our thing. And then it was a night a little bit like tonight. It was rainy and cold, and because we were in this wasteland of parenting, we had decided that our first child, you of course set rules. Anyone who's had a first child, there's rules, there's right and wrong things, and whatever advice you take, at some point you decide this is the way we're going to do it. And one of the things we had was Amy was not going to sleep in the bed with us. We'd always, don't judge us, it was the fashion at that time. We always going to take her back to the cot and put her back to sleep there. Even if we've taken her out of it, that was kind of the way we were doing it. So this night, Amy woke, I heard Dee get out of bed. She wandered across, I dozed, woke up a little bit later, she was in bed. And then I looked next to me and there was Amy in bed with us as well. And Dee fell asleep. This time, chaotic sleep deprivation. I looked at this and I thought, well, that's not our agreement. The baby's going to be in bed. So I quietly picked Amy up and I tiptoed back to the cot, tucked her in, put the blanket over her. Okay, done well. Tiptoed back to bed, got back into bed without waking Dee, another major achievement for me. I lay there and I was feeling a little bit pious actually. I was thinking, I'm quite a good father, managed to pull this whole thing off. And I dozed off to sleep. And the next moment I woke up. And the bed was about here, and I was about a meter on the other side of the bed in midair, realizing I was in midair and about to hit the floor. And are we being attacked? What's going on? I wasn't quite sure what was happening. Next thing I hit the floor and I woke up properly. And I thought, what has happened? And at this point I've got to flip over to Dee's side of what she had seen and happened for her. She had brought the baby to bed, Amy had tucked in, gone to sleep. She woke up and her oaf of a husband was asleep on top of the baby. So she did what any good wife would do. She turned sideways and with both feet, she kicked me, Maradona would have been proud, kicked me right off the bed. I woke up midday going, what is going on here? And it was probably not surprising in the chaotic, sort of overburdened, overwhelmed period of that first few months of having a baby, that happened and it came together in that way. But what was quite surprising for me was that when I thought about the story and I was retelling it, whenever I think about that period, I often think, well, it was a crazy period, it was, overwhelmed, we weren't sure what we were doing, we were sort of fumbling our way through it. And as I was preparing the story tonight and thinking about it, I thought, yes, that is true. But there's also another thing that happened during that time. It was a time of love, of realizing that love is actually exponential, and you can love a person, but then you can also love a baby, and love sort of multiplies as this happens. And loving the moments and the experiences of the little smiles and the things that happen along the way. And I think that's where I started and where I'm going to end, which is, it's that combination of a moment which is a memory of significant joy and love and gratitude, and in amongst it is a sense of loss and a bit of sadness that it can never be again. Thank you.